My name is Tanisha Shorter-Lott, and I am the Executive Director for Black History 365 Education Foundation.
So, what inspired you to create the foundation?
So let me give you some bad content when it comes to
Yeah.
the wonderful foundation. I get so excited about talking about it. So Dr. Milton and Dr. Freeman, these were two educators who created a book, Black History 365 Education. And perhaps I have the book right here, so I can just show it to you.
Okay.
There we go. So they created this textbook, and this textbook dates back to ancient Africa to today's time in reference to Black history education. Their goal is to get this book into the hands of students across the United States because we understand that currently in our education system that Black history is not taught to its full extent. There's only certain things that's taught, and they understood that during this climate that we're in, that the CRT and all this other things, they wanted to create a book that told the true history of the contributions of African Americans or Blacks in American. And so that's where the textbook came about. So the textbook is right now is currently in over 200 school districts across the United States. It's also a very engaging textbook where it takes a student or individual on a journey. There's over 1,300 QR codes in the book that takes a
Oh,
student on
wow.
a journey. Yes, where they can click on. It has music that goes along with it. So it's very interactive for the reader. So once again, as I said, the book is in over 200 school systems across the United States, and our goal is to get into every school system, every school system. All right. So with that being said, okay, so the book is doing a wonderful job. They have a great team who is getting out there, the sales team, getting it into the schools. Now, here comes the foundation, the component part, where I am a 501c3. And the foundation was created to raise funds because there are a lot of schools that don't have the funds to put the book in schools. So the 501c3, my goal my mission is I'm standing right behind the organization. And my mission is to get number one, to get the books into the hands of students that can't afford it. And two, if you think about the climate of what's going on in America, another goal that I have is to put the book in the hands of police officers. So let me backtrack a little bit with that, because even though the book is created and we understand that the way that history is being taught in schools and K through 12, that anytime that the book is adopted from a school system, we also provide professional development for that instructor, for that administrator, and we check in with them from time to time throughout the year. So we have a whole professional team that comes in and to help implement the book. So with that being said, that same professional team and that same professional development, we want to put that in the hands of police officers. So the book, as well as we call it awareness training for the police officers. So my two goals for the foundation: one, to raise funds to put the books in the hands of students in school districts that can't afford it, and two, to put it in the hands of police districts and police officers, as well as with the awareness training of all of the contributions to African Americans, Blacks in the United States.
So with the QR code, it does make it, interactive. Also, I was researching and I saw the pillars. Can you tell me a little bit about the pillars? I saw.
Absolutely. So the foundation pillars are education, service, community, and scholarships. Those are the four pillars. So we have been inception since 2020 at the beginning of COVID. So right now we're focusing on education and service. And as we begin to grow, we will continue to work on the other pillars as well. But that's our foundation of the work that we're doing for those four pillars. We're all about education, of course, because we are an education organization. Our community is because we want to leave our communities in better shape than what they are, every community. Scholarships, raising funds for those students, as well as service. And we have on the organization side, we have some wonderful students who are doing some great things in the schools in reference to Black history.
What are some of the things you've learned from the students in the program?
One thing that I learned, so I had the pleasure of visiting this past summer once COVID kind of broke. Well, it's still here, but we had a chance to go into the classroom and do some work with a couple of summer programs that were face-to-face, and began to implement a small portion of the curriculum that's behind the book, the textbook. And so students, when you see them open up this book and learn this history that is not taught in the high schools or not taught in elementary or not taught in middle schools, and the students are looking at me and I'm just an observer in the room like, Miss, why didn't I know this information? So it's enlightening. And one of the students, it just stuck with me, her words. She said, the only thing that we learned about Black history in school is that we were slaves, but our textbook takes them way beyond slavery. It takes them all, as I mentioned, all the way back to ancient Africa to today's time. So they are enlightened with all of this history that they're typically not learning in the traditional school.
So how important is it to get a, understand the true history to help the future?
I think it's very important because it gives them a foundation. It gives students, and we're just not talking about Black students. We're just talking about students and individuals as a whole. It gives them a foundation and a clearer understanding or a better understanding of exactly who we are. When you understand who you are, you have a better chance of understanding where you're going, right? And we know that in the school system, in communities that, as I mentioned, that Black history is not taught, or Black history, not taught, but Black history is just, there's only a specific part of Black history that's taught. When a student identifies that there's so much more of history that goes on when it comes to Blacks in the United States, they have a better understanding of who they are. And in turn, they become a better student, a better individual, and they begin to look at themselves differently in a more positive light.
A little about you, about your upbringing. When did you realize that you didn't, learn this in grade school and all that? And when did you, finally get a chance to learn all this?
Well, that's a very good question, but I think that I'm just a little bit different. So I'm currently living in Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
but I was born in Rochester, New York, and I come from a very strong foundation of strong African-American women, strong African-American men. And so my grandmother, she did a very good job with educating us on our history. Now, I will be honest with you, I graduated from a historically Black college or university, and no, I didn't take any history type classes. Why? Because that wasn't my major, or that wasn't my focus. But it was a lot of things that I learned at my HBCU about my history. But when I opened up this textbook, there were other things that were just like jaw dropping to me, because we just wasn't taught this, And so it just gave me a better insight, as I mentioned, when it comes to the students as well. It just gave me a better insight of how I interact with individuals, how, especially when I'm walking into the classrooms, letting the students know that, no, honey, you're more than just what you got going on right now. But I was taught that at a very young age. So I was blessed to be surrounded by strong African-American, strong Black individuals to help me with my growth, if that makes sense.
No, that does. And so what motivates you?
As far as an individual?
All of it.
That is a very good question. What motivates me, because I'm an educator at heart. I've been my past life, I was associate dean at a college. But my motivation is when individuals get those aha moments, whatever those aha moments is. Aha moments are those moments when you realize the knowledge that you have gained. So if it's anything about health, that aha, like, oh my God, are you serious? Is that true? When individuals get those aha moments, so guiding those individuals to those aha moments, those are the things that motivate me. So being in the classroom, when a student realized, like, oh my God, like, is this true? Those moments, that's what motivate me, and that's what keeps me going in reference to the work that we do.
That I've never realized, you people's faces, you do see, like, really.
Yeah.
So exactly.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that is big. So where do you want to see the foundation in the next 3 to 5 years?
That is a very good question. So I was sitting down doing some setting goals in my strategic goals, and where I want to see the foundation in the next 3 to 5 years. Of course, we are a nonprofit. We are a 501c3. We just received it not just received it. I worked very hard to receive our designation. So if you are in the nonprofit world, you already know the work that it takes to do that. So we are finally a nonprofit and we have our 501c3 designation. And where I want to see us, I would love to see my budget to be able to touch every police. Would I say precinct or would I say organization, every police organization across the United States, so that they are in a better place to serve the African American community. So we don't have any more George Floyd. So we don't have any more of those incidents where, we don't have those incidents anymore. So I would love for every police officer, there's over 1,300, I think it's 1,300 somewhere around there, different police areas. I would love to have that budget where I can touch everyone, and for every school system across the United States to have this textbook in there as a part of their curriculum. That is my goal.
So you said you're educator at heart. My wife has been a teacher for 20 years. How is it to shape the lives of these young kids?
It's very rewarding. I mean, it took me a long time to realize that, because within my 17, well, it's a little bit beyond 17, maybe about 20 years of being an educator. Yeah. I started off as a 7th and 8th grade special ed teacher, and then I went on to different programs within the education system, just to know, like, students that I touched way back in the late 1990s who are grown now, they're sending me text messages through Facebook like, hey, thank you for all the work that you've done. You've always believed in me. So that part, this just gives me chills over my body. Even so, like working in the Dallas-Fort Worth community with our textbook and going into the schools and teaching them about Black history and the things that we do when we're working with students, like the different mantras that we stand on, and to see those students in the community. I could be out with my husband and my family, and one of the kids can notice me and say, hey, Miss Tanisha, and he or she would do something that they learned in the classroom. Those are the best moments ever, because, if you've ever been in a classroom, and I'm sure your wife can attest to this, students can be challenging. I mean, they can be challenging. So for them to have some takeaways from the work that we're doing and the work that I've done in the past, that just makes my day. That makes my day, that makes my week, that makes my world.
So how can people find out more information?
So right now, 2 ways. So right now we're doing a 365, get it, BH3 365, but we're doing 365 days of giving fundraiser, and they can go to our to donate $3.65, $36.50, or $365 to our programs, and that can be done through our website at www.blackhistory365foundation.org.